I'm Rye, your Kodega, here to lead you through the shadows of the unknown. My journeys have carried me across hidden corners of the world to places steeped in wonder, whispers, and unanswered questions. Walk with me as we uncover ancient civilizations, unravel unexplained phenomena, and chase the legends that refuse to die. Welcome to Kodega's Codex of Curiosities. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another show, another episode of Kodega's Codex of Curiosities. And for those who are new here, my name is Rye. And for those who are returning, you guys know me, Rye, the Kodega. I will be your guide on this journey. You know, I take you through these stories, through these amazing adventures that some other people have gone, whether they've actually had experiences or they've written books or done research. That's what the show is all about. It's all about these experiences, this research and books and everything. It's about learning and it's about questioning everything that has been presented to us, because I think history is much more different than what we've been told. Now, if you guys are new here, like I was saying, make sure you guys hit that subscribe, hit that like button. I'm also on Spotify and Apple and Rumble as well. And if you're not a fan of commercials, go check on Patreon. You can find all my episodes there, audio episodes, without commercials. It's always a good thing. And if you're looking to support the show in any other way, shape, or form, you can go to Kodega's Bodega, where I have some amazing merch, such as hats like this, or you can, just share the show. That's about it. Okay. Enough of the housekeeping. I think it's time we get ready to get into this tonight. Tonight, I have a special guest, Mr. Blake Botel from Mountain Man Explore the Truth. Blake is going to go through his experiences, his sightings, his amazing, things that he has seen. He did this with me previously when I was the host of the Lost Frequency podcast. But since I have left that, we have closed that chapter. I'm looking forward to having him on Kodega's Codex of Curiosity. So without further ado, without wasting any more time, let's bring Blake to the stage. Blake, welcome to the show. Welcome to Kodega's Codex of Curiosities. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, and how's your guest doing?
I am doing fantastic. I'm just going to switch some things up here. There we go. It's been a hot minute. You see, Blake and I, for those who are watching and listening, Blake and I actually started our shows at the same time. I didn't start this show. I started the Lost Frequency at the same time as Blake started Mountain Man Explore the Truth. And we both had a little hiccups and bumps along the road, whereas I closed the door and then Blake took a little bit of a break, but he is back and recording a lot of material. So for those who are actually looking to tell your experiences, not only can you come on my show, but you can come on Blake's as well. So Blake, why don't you tell us a little bit about your show and where everybody can find it too?
Well, yeah, Mountain Man Explore the Truth, basically came to my mind when I first started podcasting. Like you said, we met each other around the same time. And I feel like an idiot when I was getting into it, because you're using whatever you can to get going on it, right? And it was cool because we interrupted. I think we ran into each other on some kind of group page. I think it was. We were trying to share.
Yeah, I don't know how we met. Yeah, and I do know that Matt from Planet 412 actually kind of bridged that gap a little bit, because he had been on your show, and that is, I think it might have been him that we connected through. I'm not 100% sure, but
Yeah, I think I introduced you to Matt, wasn't it? I think if I
or
remember.
that actually probably was it. Maybe it's the other way around. Yeah, you
I don't
introduced
know.
me to Matt.
We
Yeah.
got close with Matt, so he's definitely done a lot with you, and I've been going on his lives here and there, and hopefully he'll be back on. Seems like he's been
Yeah,
taking a
and
break
for
himself.
I know a lot of people are saying like, where's Matt? Where's Matt? Matt is getting his stuff all ready. I know he's taking a lot longer than expected. I do talk to him off and on. I was talking to him today,
Good man.
and I was asking him if he's got his setup already, and he says he just needs some peripherals, which I don't know what that means. So if anybody has any idea, wants to take a guess what peripherals mean, and toss it in the comments, by all means, please do that. But yeah,
Probably
no,
trying to get
it's
all fresh back into it. But yeah, going back, it all started with Bigfoot. Bigfoot's what got me interested, because I was always fascinated about Bigfoot since I was a kid, right? And you watch these documentaries, these shows that people come out like Monster Quest and stuff like that. And I was always talking about Bigfoot with my friends and family, and I believe in paranormal. I had some experience myself, so I was like, you know what, I want to do a podcast on this. It'd be fun to talk to people like-minded doing podcasts too, and people that have these experience. And I feel a lot of podcasters like what we're doing had some kind of experience. It's what got our interest in it, and we want to get people's truth out there. And that's what the show's basically about. I want to get their truth out there and let the people see if they have the similar experiences as them, or sightings or whatever.
I I agree completely. I think it's very important that we get our information out and we talk about it. And was there something that drove you to go after Bigfoot? Was there something as a kid? Was there like a book that you read, a video? Was it the Patterson Gimlin film, or what was it that got you into Bigfoot, and then in the
It
end
was,
actually made you start your show?
well, it was a lot to do with camping, man. I did a lot of camping with my family, like my grandma and my grandfather and uncles, and they would joke about Bigfoot, saying, "You stay near the fire, Bigfoot's going to get you." And I was like, hmm. And then you would hear strange sounds, and stuff, and they go, "That was Bigfoot hollering out there," just get me all worked up. And then when it just clicked, I started watching shows on it, and I started seeing some documentaries on it, like Unsolved Mysteries. I'm sure you're familiar with that show back in the day when we were young, and that
Oh
got my
yeah.
attention because it would show experience like that. They called it the mountain beast, or they would call it like the man of the woods or something like that. But it just grew from there, man. I found Bigfoot fascinating. Everybody would joke with me because they know I'm a believer, and they're always like, "Bigfoot, okay, yeah, sure, okay." That's what you get reactions. I'm like, you know
Yeah,
what? I'm gonna look
I
into this.
agree.
I'm
It
gonna get
was
more
like
proof.
I
Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I found when like years ago, it was we'd be kind of made fun of. It was kind of that people would rib you about it, bug you, joke, with you about it. But it's almost as if though now it's becoming more and more accepted, especially UFOs. Like we've seen
Yeah.
all this disclosure, though I don't really think it's actual disclosure. Kind of like it's just a carrot on a stick, a perpetual carrot on a stick in front of us. But nonetheless, I do think that we are being, it's becoming more and more acceptable,
Mhm.
in society to talk about Bigfoot or to talk about ghosts or to talk about UFOs.
I agree because you're starting to see more people being comfortable about it because I'll have my sticker on my car. Some guy will be walking by, what is that? And I go take a closer look because it's a small sticker, and they see and they go, oh, I'm a believer too, man. I've had some ghost experience down the road, stuff like that when I was in Oregon. And I was amazed when people come to the side and talk to you, but there are ones who are like, you want to come on the show? you know? But then they hesitate, they don't want to. So it's kind of hard to get people like that. They're just wanting to chat about it. That's it. But it's like, come chat about it on the show. People probably want to hear it. So,
Yeah, it's it still has a stigma around it. There
mhm.
is that stigma where people just don't really feel, like I said, it is getting more accepted, but to actually step up in public to say, yeah, I had an experience, that is still difficult. To sit around the campfire with a couple of buddies or a couple of beers and talk about it, yeah, that's more common. But
Yeah.
to actually get on a show, it takes a lot of guts for someone to come forward and
Yeah,
do
that's
that. So
why I always that's why I always say to my guests, especially before we go to the show, I'm like, it's awesome that you're coming on to talk about it. But I know you already been out there a few times and talked about it on other shows, and I think that helped them get more comfortable with it, right? And then
yeah.
I think it's important that people get their experience heard on all other shows as well, because it kind of backs up the detail of their experience, because you're hearing it in your episode and you go hear it on that guy's episode and you're like, well, everything's matching. Oh, he forgot to mention that on my show because there was something that he might have forgotten.
Yeah.
And more details to the experience. I think that's what's important to go ahead and go on other shows, and it helps them get more comfortable and they're living in it, they're reliving in that moment. So it's really awesome too, because you feel it when you're hearing them talking about it. When somebody's talking about their experience, you can feel it. It gets you on their toes. You're like, whoa, man.
Exactly. You get in there. Some of the experiences that I've heard, they really, like, my stomach starts turning. Like, Matt Emsch from Planet 412. When he was telling his, I remember the first time I was hearing it, my stomach was in knots, and I'm like, holy cow! You're just hearing this. And there was a couple other people's experiences, other guests who I've had on where I'm the same way. I'm just like, holy cow, Don't get me wrong. I love listening to researchers and people who have done all this work and written books. But when people tell about their experiences, their personal, lived experiences, that's the ones where I'm just like,
those are the ones that are more important. And you know what? You find yourself with some of these people that have the experience, I guess in a way we are researchers and investigators ourselves, because we're podcasters and we're into it. Maybe we're starting to go out there and foot's on the ground too and look into things of our own. But that's what I've learned from some of these people that have these experiences. They come out and go, you know what, I'm kind of a researcher because I'm going out more and more because I know they're there. And of course you got to avoid the one side of the Hollywood of it, because you got the Hollywood side like you mentioned earlier, and different angles that are going on. Like you got this person thinking this way, that way, or Mr. Know-It-All. Like, no, mine's right. Mine's the only way, and it's the only way. It's like, no, no one knows.
That's exactly it. I've listened to a couple of people who've had those types of experiences. Rod, for once, was it Rod? No, was it Rod or was it Lee that I just had on recently? And they were talking about their experiences, and they actually said, like, this is what I know because of what I've experienced. Am I open to the other things? Yeah, of course I am. But what I've experienced, I'm just telling you what I've seen and what I've done. So this is what I believe. And but again, they're like, yeah, but I'm still open to hearing that side. Like, I'm open to the woo if they're, and I hate that name.
The woo. Yeah, a lot of podcasters use it, And,
yeah, but they're like, I'm open to it, but it's not what I saw. This is what I saw, so I know that this is real. But if I ever experience something else, hey, that might be there as well. Yeah.
Like people, Bigfoot. I used to think one thing of what Bigfoot was. I think it was something natural in our woods. It's been there longer than us. But now my mind's turning and starting to change thoughts on it as we grow, You start to think, okay, maybe they're connected to the Nephilims. Maybe they're connected to this, all kinds of theories. So that's when I go,
and we saw that on that post, that post on Facebook where I was like, what do you think Bigfoot is? And you're like, well, I think there might be a connection, with the Nephilim. And I was like, yeah, great point. And then we had the person go off about they actually had just enough information to be dangerous, but not enough information to actually know what they're talking about. If that makes sense. If anybody's seen those types of people that they have enough and they're dangerous, but they don't know the full story. And and I'm saying I don't know the full story, but I am correcting him on things that he's saying that is like that everyone does know. I'm not saying about the creature, but it's like when we're talking about the Nephilim, what they are, what they ended up becoming. But enough of talk about that, Blake. Yeah. Let's get into.
We can go on a tangent, man. Me and you.
I know. I was on a show last night called The Conspiracy, and I had a planned show all about possessions, parasites, and persuasion, like demonic possession, demonic persuasion, and parasites. The link between them all, and I wasn't as prepared as I needed to be. We didn't even talk about it once. We like when we say we're going off on tangents, kind of like what we're doing here right now. Yeah. Exactly what we did. We went off on crazy tangents everywhere. Yeah. But so Blake, you've had some of your own experiences, and I'd love for you to tell them. And you can start.
Heard, man. I mean, some of it I told you I'd share with you down the road about, especially more recent type stuff, like in my last year or so, dude. So
definitely. Let's hear it. Let's hear.
Let's go with the sighting. You want to go with what I saw across the canyon, right? So we
100%.
And I'll bring up some of my childhood paranormal experience stuff too. you'll probably
Yeah,
find one
I
very
want to hear
interesting.
about the one at your cousin's, like across the field. I do that one. I remember that one. Yeah,
Oh
but
yeah, you
let's yeah. Sorry,
yeah
go ahead.
yeah. I'll go ahead and go right into it. So, man, I can't remember what year exactly the summer was, but it was definitely, I say, within five, maybe more like probably, I think it's about 5 years ago, within that frame, 4 to 5 years ago. The Grand, it's a cannon. I'm about to call it a Grand Cannon. It's a tiny one, if anything. But anyhow, Father Law's property banks up next to a creek, right down below. And if you look like a crow view across the canyon, that's like, it looks like it's close, but it really isn't. It's a little ways. So I showed you pictures. I can probably send those to
Yeah,
you again. Um, so all that land over there is owned by a logging company, right? And I'm always looking over there because it's a view over there. It's beautiful looking. They weren't doing no logging there in that time, but I just had a, you know, relaxing day. Got out there and sat on a log, and That's when I was drinking some beer. Just sitting back having a beer, looking over, and then I noticed something moving. I noticed something moving across this. Say this the flat of the clear cut spot. Something moving nice and like fluid with the grass. The grass was tall. I say probably, I'm gonna guess because where I was, it was probably about a foot and a half high, grass. And you can see this figure walking across nice and smooth, fluid with it, like it's like almost like it was hovering, but no, it's just probably walking across. You can't really see the movement, and it was huge, huge dark blotch is what I'm gonna say, man, because it was like I say like a dark brown, maybe black. But by the time I was like, what the, ran up to the house, or the camper I'm staying in. I go, honey, I need my binoculars. I need my binoculars. I'm looking all around for the binoculars, and I'll tell you what, it took me a good 5 minutes to find him. By the time I got down there, it was already gone on that side.
yeah.
So I was like, oh, maybe I didn't see anything. So I kept scoping around, looking around, and couldn't see it again, right? But what, a week or so goes by, a guy in a working truck goes over there, and he's right in the same path where that would have been, maybe a little bit further over. When he got out of that truck, dude, he looked like this. The thing I saw looked like that. So twice the size. So,
So you thinking maybe like 10 foot or something like that, 10, 11
I'd
feet?
say it's hard to say, man. All I can say he's a lot bigger than a man. I look like a full
Okay.
grown man over there. He could have been 5'8". He could have been 6'2". This man,
Yeah.
I couldn't tell, because it's further over there. I mean, the truck looks small, it's just that far out. So what I saw was definitely bigger than a person. And the truck, actually, I could say the thing was probably taller than the truck. And
And
it's just,
how long did that sighting go on for?
that side, and when that happened, man, it happened quick. Because I was sitting there enjoying the view, and I'm just, thinking, am I seeing a bear? I'm looking over. Am I seeing a bear? What am I looking at here? And it's standing up, and just kind of for go across the screen. It just kind of was moving smooth all the way across. So I say it happened within 10, 15 seconds, man. It was fast. By the time I ran up there, because it was like this close to the tree line before it could disappear. And I was hoping it would come out the other side of that tree line to clear cut. But
Yeah,
it didn't.
yeah.
It might have just decided to go up into the trees. There's another tree line up there. I'll show you some pictures of that later on. But
Was there
anyhow,
anything else peculiar about that incident? Like, was there, some people describe silence, like everything getting quiet, and
you
I know
know,
it was an extremely far distance away, but I'm wondering if there was anything peculiar about that actual moment
it
in
felt
time.
it felt eerie. Like you felt this weird stomach pit feeling when you saw it. You're like, what did you just see? And excitement too, because I thought, for sure. I was like, am I actually seeing some kind of cryptid or something? What am I seeing?
Yeah.
I always said to myself, it'd be cool to have a sighting. And I know they're over there. I know they're over there, and I can go
I
into
think
more.
that's a good distance to have a sighting at, something that it's far enough away that I feel a
Yeah,
little safe watching it. Yeah.
yeah. I know it didn't see me, obviously, because I don't think it did. Maybe it noticed. I don't know if those things could sense it, but like I said, by the time I got up to the house, binocular was gone. I just kept scoping around. I was looking at appearance of the bushes and stuff. I'm like, God, whatever I saw was big.
Yeah.
And but what's strange with that is like, I think it was a week or so after or during that time frame, there was like an orb. I told you about the orb. They look like stuff coming
Yeah.
off it.
Yeah. Let's
Same
okay.
area.
Okay. So how long ago did the Bigfoot happen? That
I
sighting
say
was it like
within 5 days, maybe 7 days top. I can't remember
Okay,
exactly.
sorry. No, I was saying, like, how long ago did that Bigfoot sighting happen? Was that like 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, about 4 to 5 years ago.
Okay,
And
and then you saw an orb.
yeah, within that time frame too. So like
Okay.
it was within a week, of that what I saw because I kept wanting to look over there because ever since
Okay,
I had
orb
that,
or UFO or
it
maybe a little bit of both.
I'm gonna say I don't know, man. It was just it didn't look big enough to think it'd be. I mean, I don't know how big these aliens would be if there's aliens out there, and I don't know if
Well,
there's little
what's
tiny.
interesting though is what was coming out of that.
It was.
Um,
It looked like
good. Like my good friend Brad would be interested from the Awaken podcast. Would definitely be interested in hearing this. So let's tell us about this incident, where you were in the situation of it,
I
where
went
it
to.
was.
Well, I went to the same spot, and this time it was more like get close to nighttime. It was pretty much
Okay.
getting dusk, where you're starting to get dark and a little bit of light in between, dusk before And I remember I was out there with my binoculars, still looking around, and you got enough, you can see around. I noticed a
Yeah.
light. I kept seeing something like moving around the tree lines behind the tree lines. I just kept watching. I'm like, what is that? I was thinking maybe drones or something like that. And then by the time we came over the tree line, close to the same spot where I saw that, possibly Bigfoot. I saw it on near the side of it, and what I remember seeing was pulsation. It was like pulsing, and it would look like yellowish green. If I remember right, a little hint of blue, and then something dripping off the damn thing, dude. I kept looking at the
Okay.
ground.
So
Something catching on fire?
in this location, was there any running water? Is there any
Yeah, the
running
creek's
running
right
water
down
like a
below it.
creek?
Yeah, there's a creek
Okay.
right below. And there's ponds over there. That's where I was going to tell you a little more about how I know for sure there is Bigfoots over there.
Okay, so
But
yeah,
yeah,
so
there's
let's go,
ponds.
let's go. So you saw this orb and it feels like it's pulsating, but something is coming out of it.
Yeah, like liquid, like glowing liquid dripping off. At this time, I kept staring at it, dude. I was looking at the, going, what am I looking at? Because you just see a bright light with strange, like, I don't know, like neon. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's just kind of weird color dripping off it. And I kept rubbing my eyes like, what am I looking at? Because it freaked me out. And what happened after that, I think it just disappeared, dude. Like it went gone. And I kept watching.
And you were looking through the binoculars at this point because you had the
I got a good
binoculars.
look at it. I could probably draw a picture of it, but I've seen some things online that look pretty similar to it. I think I've talked to you about it in the past, and I think you showed me something before, but I can't remember if it was you or somebody else. Something that kind of looks similar to it.
I don't know if it was me. I don't think so.
Might have been somebody else.
And you're not the first person to talk about like stuff dripping from these things. I had a guest on. For the life of me, I can't remember his name, but it was like he saw a UFO come through a portal, but he was looking at it with sunglasses on, and then he was able to, and he saw something like dripping from it as well. I'm sure Brad would tell me who that guest was because he's had him on his show as well. But
Yeah,
that's fascinating.
what I remember too is after I was looking at that with the binoculars, you know how you see like a bright light in your eyes and you got that like spot going on, you're looking around.
Yes.
Like, oh, darn. That's what happened to me. I kept going, man, was it that bright? And I have to say, by looking in the binoculars, I would say it looked like a basketball size to me, maybe a little bit bigger, but it just looked that way to me. But I could be wrong on the size on it, but it definitely was weird. It was happening to be in the same area. So
and that guest that I was mentioning his name was Corey. So thanks, Brad, for that. So it was so intense. This colors were so intense, and did it that it was kind of like blinding you a little bit after? Was it when you were looking at it and the liquid falling off? Did it look more like magma or water? Like if we see magma, it's kind of more of like
a
gelatinous, or was it more like water dripping like water?
Now that you say that, I had to say it kind of reminded me of more of a magma slow drip off it because it was whatever was coming off. It was like slow, like oozing off, like some kind of ooze, And
so that's kind of like a lava lamp in a way too, maybe.
Yeah. It definitely wasn't water. Water could move fast coming off stuff, so it was definitely a slow kind of drip off it. So, and I don't know, dude. When I saw that, I was like, what did I just see? Like, was it a UFO or what? Because I've seen a lot up there in the sky, strange things, but But this was weird. It was like an orb, some kind of weird looking orb. So
And it was only days after that you had, or was it like pretty much
yeah,
days
within
after? Yeah.
I think it was like I think within 7 days or so. I think it was about a week or so and a half. I think I'm going to say week within that week and a half it happened
Hmm.
since then. So I was like, what the heck? And I heard people say similar reports like that when they had a Bigfoot sighting, some kind of orbs coming around, and their orbs sound a little different than what I saw, but pretty close to the same.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Many times the orb, UFO, and Bigfoot sightings are very similar. Like the timing is all very similar. Sometimes at the same time, they
Hmm.
see that. Like, does it mean that the Bigfoot is an orb and the orb is a Bigfoot and is a UFO? It doesn't mean that, but there's
Yeah,
something tying them all together in the essence that it could be like there is a connection. What that connection is, are they observing each other? Is that a possibility?
that's
And
possible. Yeah,
yeah, and hey, we forgot to mention that we're part of that mix now too. So it's not just a Bigfoot, an orb, a UFO, and it's us as well because we are witnessing it. So
yeah.
we're in there as well.
It is weird, man, because the more you dig deep, you start hearing more and more about other things, and you start going, okay, what is that? I hear about little people. I hear, like I said, I can say all kinds of stuff I think is going on out there, but I don't want to go off a tangent and miss me out. So, but yeah, I can
Yeah,
tell you a reason why I'm pretty sure there's Bigfoots over there, right? You know, let's say there's somewhat of a famous guy that lives in my town, Sandy, and he has a Bigfoot museum. You know who I'm talking about, right?
I who is that? Who is that?
Cliff,
I don't.
Cliff, from Finding Bigfoot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's got a museum there, And when I found out he was living there, I was like, oh wow. And what's weird, he was talking about a research area. You know where that research area was? I'm pretty sure where it
It's right
is.
where you were in your backyard, kind of thing.
Yeah, because I follow witness a group out there, with flashlight looking around and making calm sounds and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And I remember hearing Cliff talking about an area with 3 ponds. That's where the 3 ponds are now.
interesting.
And he
Very,
was
very.
describing how he found a family group footprints.
No,
So I'm not giving away his location where he's looking because I'm not even giving it away really. I'm just told you it's owned
no,
by a logging company.
no, and
So
that's perfectly fine. That is
yeah,
perfectly fine. So
but
that's fascinating. Okay,
yeah,
and was there any other events in that area of you
yeah.
have any other sightings in there?
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily sightings of. I found really strange looking structures, you know,
Hmm.
and a possible sighting down the creek. I had a video of, but then I'm thinking maybe it was a branch moving around with the water, but it definitely looked like a figure standing in the water. So that
Okay.
one's questionable. But in that path, I, found weird things down there that we heard howling sound. My wife did. She heard a lot of sounds that she said differently didn't sound like a coyote, and it got me interested because I go down there and look and I found a deer like skull was smashed open and skeleton. Basically, it was fresh kill. It was ate. So I was like,
Okay.
interesting. Are you sure it wasn't coyotes, honey? She goes,
Well, if the
no,
skull
I
is
know where they
smashed
sound.
open, there's something going on there.
Yeah, that was weird. The skull
Yeah.
being smashed open. Something wonky with the
Just a
brain.
random question. Did you ever find any like skeletons up in the trees or anything like that? That
No,
sometimes people find that.
I never bother looking that high up in the trees for stuff like that, but I have heard people finding skeleton remains up in the trees, like they put their kill. But this thing looked like it was ate up, stripped down, and was barely anything left. And just the skeleton remain, you could tell it was fresh kill.
Okay.
And it was interesting, because you could look like the back was cracked in half, like snapped.
Okay.
So that was
Okay.
interesting. So,
Cool. All right. So we got Bigfoot. We got an orb that's got a leak, and they need some.
it's something with it.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
need
it
some.
was a
What is
weird one.
that fix where they slap the fix those patches onto those leaking? Oh, I can't remember. But
Yeah, I don't know.
yes, yeah.
It
So
was an interesting one, and I'll tell you what, it's a lot of strange things up there. Like I went up the Wildcats up the road, right, and you find these big TP type structures. I always thought that was like, a man could do it. Good strong man. A few guys, buddies get together and they could build some. But these were huge.
yeah,
I mean, these were huge. I mean, probably I had to hug them. You know, these are big round logs that were put against like teepees and stuff. You know,
Oh
I
wow.
had some
Okay.
footages of those, but I gotta find them. But they were weird, dude. When we went down there, I go, I don't know if machineries can get down here. You know, but it was weird. A couple structures like that, and like a dome type structure too. You know, so I think it
Okay.
was pretty active up there in Wildcat. So
Okay. That's a see that's I will say that I'm not 100% sold on the structures.
I'm not
And
either.
I yeah, I like is there a possibility? Yes. Is it a possibility that a person did that? Yes, cuz guess
Mm,
what? I did that. I
yeah.
used to do that. I'd be out in the woods, you know, if I when I went hunting with my dad and I'm a little kid, guess what I would be building? I would be building like teepee structures and
Yeah,
whatnot.
I
So
built forts and everything, and I was like, you know what? Somebody's gonna come out here thinking something crazy did this because me and my cousins
yes,
always
so
did that. So
I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm also saying that it, you know, I'm playing devil's advocate that it could be a human. We can't think everything is
yeah,
that. So who knows? Who knows? But
yeah, you know that's
and
the thing is,
like you said, when you took that picture, you said you had that picture or that video of like the branch. I can respect that when you're saying it might have been this. You know, too many
yeah,
people are like we have confirmation bias. We're like, yeah, no, that's what it was. That's what it was.
hmm,
We have to be open to hearing what it could be. It could also be something else. Like I have a lot of pictures of things that I don't know what they are.
I hear
Could it
you.
be this? Yeah, yeah,
I
it
got a
could be
lot of stuff
something
too
else.
that I'm not even sharing because I'm questionable about it. I'm like,
Yeah,
it could be this, it could be that, it could be a little speck from dust on my lens is what I saw. I don't know, but
yeah, yeah.
it's strange, because I go up there and I've seen a lot of structures, and I'm always keeping a question on it too. I go, could be, but probably not, because people like to say right away, "Oh, that's Bigfoot did that." How do you know? Could have been man. I mean, look for footprints. You might find footprints and maybe got something going on. But
And
I
that's
agree with you.
speaking of footprints,
So,
that's something else that I bring up is, you know, I went barefoot. There are people who do barefoot hiking, and
oh, I
I
do. I
did
used to too.
barefoot hiking in Costa Rica. So it's kind of like, you know, and I got big feet, so I'm not saying I'm a Bigfoot, but I might get confused for a juvenile as well,
Yeah,
and that is so again, I'm not saying Bigfoot doesn't exist, but not everything is Bigfoot.
I do believe that you got to pay attention to the detail of that footprint too. You can kind of tell it's something heavier, bigger.
Yeah. Yes.
Um,
Correct. Correct.
but you gotta, like you said, you go out there walking barefoot out there. It only takes days or times, and that footprint gets bigger. It starts to give out, so it ends up looking
Okay.
like a footprint. I tested with boots. I'm walking around in the mud, and I go back. Oh, that was me that walked there. And holy crap, my foot looks a lot bigger than it was last time. So ground,
Fair
just
enough.
you know, that's a good thing to keep in mind too when people find footprints. It's like look for details in it. I mean, look at the arch on it and make sure it looks something like, I don't know where I have it on the back wall somewhere, got a footprint, but you can tell the difference of a human and a man's footprint. But then you got to rule out the hoaxers, because there's people who can make pretty good looking realistic footprints. And, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
here's why I
And
question a
I
lot of
actually
those.
believe that hoaxers are the worst. Like I think it's okay to be skeptical. It's okay to ask
Mhm.
questions, but the worst thing out there is a hoaxer because
Yeah,
they will discredit everything because they will, you know, if they get caught hoaxing, then everything else, not theirs, not just theirs, but everything else, everyone's like, "Oh, that's a hoax then. That's a hoax then." So
I
yeah.
agree. That's where you got to be careful too, because some people might believe in that person, stuff.
Yeah.
Particular. Let's just say there's certain big time, guys out there saying everything's Bigfoot, and they can just prove it to you that have the experience, but still no evidence. And you got to worry about AI and the CGI and this artist makeup. Like, think about what movie was that? The Grinch. The Grinch. You seen how
Yeah.
incredible that makeup artist is? I've seen some
Exactly.
people do stuff like that to look like a Bigfoot, and you're like, holy crap! They would fool me. If I saw that in the woods, I'd be like, holy crap, that's a Bigfoot. But it was
Yep.
somebody in makeup. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying everybody's doing that. I'm a believer. I believe there's Bigfoots out there, Sasquatch, whatever you want to
Yes,
call them. I
and
definitely believe
I'm
they're
in
out
that
there.
same camp
So,
as you, Blake. Now, so Blake, where do we go from here then? What other experiences,
let's
what
go
other
ahead.
crazy things have you had?
Well, let's go back to my childhood, experience I've had, man, at the
Okay.
old house in Portland, man, where I lived growing up. I remember the street too, because this house was creepy, man. It was on 115th Street in Portland, and over by Foster, and this house was moved to this spot. That's what's interesting.
Oh,
So the
Yeah.
basement was built, and they took this house from somewhere. I don't know the whole backstory, but I was told it was moved there because I found out from my mother a while ago because I was talking about these experiences that we had because my brother did too. He kind of kept his to himself because he thought he was just seeing stuff. Like he talked about where he saw footprints moving on the carpet. That's pretty
Oh,
creepy.
jeez. Okay.
It sounds like something going up the stairs, going up and down the stairs. But when I was a kid, dude, I was probably, let me think, I think I was probably about 10 or 11, maybe 12, the highest number I'm going to guess right now. It's so far back. My sister was actually there. She could back it up because she saw it too. We were in the basement. There's a bar. We're just playing around the basements, being kids, and I can't remember. I think we were playing dart or something like that. Little kid darts, those plastic ones they used to have. Safely ones,
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Anyhow, you look towards the bar. I remember seeing like a figure, like a shadow figure. What really standing out was the eyes. You can see, well, I guess it's hard to say eyes. I mean, they were red, just glowing red, like a light glow to it. And I remember going, "What is that?" And she looked over and freaked out. And we both ran. And then my uncle Alton came down with his dog. He was like, "What are you guys freaking out about? Probably just some road or something, His dog was growling at that corner. And he put his light there and he goes, "There's nothing there. What are you growling at?" Nothing there. But that dog kept staring at it and growling. And whatever I saw, man, it was something. And there's more to what's going on in that basement because there's other experience that people had and caused some problems for them because they had experience too. And now they have some issues with it.
Well, what's very intriguing, Blake, is when you first told this experience, I'm not sure if I had told you mine yet, but like I know you've heard my experience as well, where I have seen a shadow person as well with these red glowing eyes, and it's not like they're lasers or like light beams coming out,
it's like
but
a
it's
light
like
glow.
yes, yeah, it's like an incandescent glow kind of thing.
Yeah, and it creeped me out, dude. I could still see it in my head. I could probably draw it. They have just like a human type figure. But anyhow,
and was it short? Sorry, let's just
go ahead.
Let's describe the body type of this figure.
I would say the bar table was probably about a normal height with a bar, stool, where you go with a nice tall stool and stuff like that. I would say probably about 4 feet, maybe, or 3.5 feet height, counter, whatever. It was definitely above that, taller than me. I was just a kid, It was in the corner of the room, there in the bar area.
Yeah.
And this is what's weird. The basement's pretty much new. The house is old. So what the heck was that thing doing in the basement? Maybe it found it more like a home for it if it came with the house or something in the ground. I don't know. It was weird.
If it came with the house.
I don't know.
Yeah, we bought a house. It came with air conditioning.
It's a whole weird story. I didn't know that house.
Ply windows and a shadow being as
well.
By the
way, you got a spirit with it, So or something dark. But
so Josie has a question concerning Bigfoot. I know we're on this topic, but let's see. So Josie's asking, says, Blake, I'm Native American. Bigfoot ate our tribe members. Do you feel Bigfoot still practice this?
I think it's definitely a thing. I mean, you're missing people all the time in the woods. I don't think they're being taken by cougars and other bears. And they could be a part of it, but you never see them again. So usually you can find a bone, but then again, you couldn't find a bone of a cougar and stuff like that. But to the point, I do think there's bad ones and good ones. I think they're like, humans. I think they're bad and good ones, ones that try to keep you safe, like the whole dogman thing. I think some Bigfoots try to keep us safe from those, but I don't know. I'm guessing, but I can tell you right now, I definitely think it's possible because I do believe in what native people have seen and experienced during their time, man, because they got a lot of stories and they got a lot of proof of it, and they have dealt with bad ones and good ones. So I think they're like humans. I think there's some bad ones and good ones. So
I agree with you. Yeah. With my friends Don and Darren from Don't Whistle at Night podcast, they've told stories about them as well. And who was it? Rod from Lodge Tales. He had told about a story where they're in a lodge. And this creature lifted up the lodge and was like, "What are you guys doing? You're not supposed to do that. Like, this is fruitless. Don't do this." And then they could hear these big footsteps coming. and a big hand reached in, grabbed this creature. This creature was like a Neanderthal almost. It grabbed the Neanderthal, threw it on his shoulder, and like went away. And they saw it was a big Bigfoot that was, taking this creature away from the natives. So, like you said, there are
That's
good ones out there.
incredible, man. That's incredible. I do believe there's some good ones for sure. You know, it's like I said, I
For
think
sure.
some are protectors of the woods, and some go rogue. Maybe a clan turns into cannibals or something like that. You know, because you do hear stories about tribes doing that stuff. You know, and human tribes. You know,
Yep.
so I think it's definitely a thing that could happen. I wouldn't want to be eaten by a Bigfoot. I'll tell you that.
Yes,
So
I agree. I agree. Now this creature that I'm going to go back to the shadow creature that you saw. Was it? Could you see? Was it wearing types of clothing? Was it any kind of clothing in particular it was wearing, or was it just the
it's
outline
just
of a black person,
it just
like
looked like
a
a
black thing?
shadow, just complete shadow. You know, it's you can see the wall, but like a dark, smoky type, shape.
Yeah.
So I apologize
Wow.
if you hear the dog in the background.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. That's okay.
Yeah,
That's no problem. She sounds pretty excited.
they're
Uh,
playing out there. I need to
uh
get it more soundproof.
there, it
So,
happens. It happens. So, okay, so we got that experience. Now, if I recall, there was one that you saw out in a field, right?
well, oh, you're talking about the lady. Yeah,
Yes.
that
Yeah,
one
I
was
remember
pretty.
this one. This one I think is fascinating. Yes.
Yeah, that one was over as I grew and older. Before I go to that, let me tell you the one at the cousin first,
Please,
because it
please,
kind of
please.
goes with the age. You know, the one
Okay.
at the cousin is weird because it happened like I'd say a year after that. You know, he had weird stuff going on in his house, and he lived over in Gresham and off Rockwood, Oregon. But we were hanging out playing games, like kids do. We're playing Nintendo, Super Nintendo, or something like that night, and I felt like something was watching us. And his mom would always check on us because she was that kind of mom. Like, what are you guys doing? Here's some snacks. Stay, trying to keep us busy. And we're staying up late. We're trying to pull an all nighter. Me and him having a good time playing games. And I remember looking at the reflection. You could see a shadow behind you on the wall by a window. I look back, and then I'm like, and then he looked over too and goes, "You see that too?" And I go, "Yeah, we see like a shape of man with a Dick Tracy hat. If you've ever heard that show, it's kind of a flat
Yeah.
hat
Yeah, Dick Tracy. Yeah.
and the same kind of eye color, like a little bit of red glow to it." And what made me remember that is him talking about, because he heard about the hat man stuff, too. My cousin, he goes,
Okay.
"You ever think we saw the hat?" And I go, "What the heck are you talking about, dude?" He had to make me remember that we had experience together at that time. And I go, "Holy crap, dude! I forgot all about that. That's right. We did see something that night, huh?" Because something that you kind of start to forget. You wouldn't think you forget, but it was definitely some kind of shadow figure. So,
Yeah.
so that was an
That's
interesting
interesting.
one.
Yeah, a lot of times you hear like the hat is usually a bigger hat. This is
Mhm.
like Dick Tracy kind of style hat. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
interesting as well. Like what?
The shape of it, the hat, that's what it looked like to me. And he saw
Yeah.
it too, and he goes, "That's what I thought was weird because it kind of looked like it had broadly type shoulders. So
Okay.
yeah,
Wow. Okay. And
that's
so
pretty good back there.
what do you think what do you think that one was? Do you think it was a shadow being? Do you think it was a ghost? Do you think it was another type of creature imitating a hat man, or what do you think that was?
I really don't know because that whole area where we're at is kind of a weird background story. Like there was old, homes around that area that have been torn down, and new homes develop in that area. And
Yeah.
and that room that he had, it used to be a garage, and they turned it into like a family room, and they put a bedroom on the end. So who
Okay.
knows what happened there? Maybe disrupt something because that house was somewhat old, but not that old. Because whatever was there I remember them saying there was like really old fashioned homes in that area, like old town homes, and stuff like that. So something going on with that. Maybe I have to say maybe some kind of spirit or something else. I don't know. Like the whole hat
Okay.
thing's weird.
Yeah, I do agree. And the height of it again, how tall was that?
I would say I was sitting on the floor, so we were both sitting on the floor. It was high enough to look up. I would say about a foot from the door. At the level of the door. Probably a
Oh,
foot below
okay.
from
Okay.
the
So
door.
it was a fair height, like at
Yeah,
least 6 foot then.
yeah, yeah. I would say close to that. Yeah. It looked big to me when I was a kid. So
Yeah.
But that
A
one I had
lot
to
of things
share with
do
you.
look big in that. Yeah.
So, but that one stick with me too after he told me about because I started coming back in your brain. You start to remember. You're like, oh man, I remember that. And he said it brought it to his mind because he's been getting into some of this stuff too. You know, he's been watching and listening to podcasts. He's more into the paranormal side of it, spirits and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because he's had it happen for him. He had a little ghost kid. They called a little ghost kid following him at the old train
Really?
tracks. Yeah, it was a crazy story. He told me about that. They were out, filming, having fun, and they caught like a figure behind him the size of a kid following him. So that was weird.
Yeah. I
So,
wonder how many times we are actually being followed and we just don't have we're not filming to see behind us or anything like that.
well,
You know,
I think you
I'm sure
might
that
feel it though.
happens.
Like you can feel like
Mm,
something's off, because that's
yeah.
what he said. He felt like this, like he said, he almost feel like you getting goosebumps, but like butterflies in your stomach, a weird sensation that he was getting when that happened because you're
Yeah.
getting close to him. I go, maybe he was trying to take your energy or something, man, or something like that. So
I've definitely had an experience like that when I was in a park. It was like 1 in the morning or something like that. And I could hear something out. I was on a paved path, but it was like forested, but it was a paved path winding through this very large park. And I could hear something moving in the trees. Could have been a person, yeah, but I was terrified. I was again around the age of 19. I had a ton of experiences. I was like 18, 19 years old, and I could hear something going on I was terrified. I was like, "Go, go, go! Let's go!" Because I was with a couple of friends as well. But
mhm.
yeah,
It's crazy. It's crazy experience that you get. I mean, I get them here and there. I'm in a new area in Texas, and I'm sensing weird stuff around here in the back corner of the property, especially weird energy. So I
yeah,
do believe the more you get into this, the more your mind opens and you feel things. You might psych yourself out. You're just like, no, I'm just seeing things. I think I'm just being crazy right now. But then you kind of got to follow it to see where it goes. Like why am I getting this sensation? What is this? You know.
yeah. No, for sure, for sure.
So,
So, so Blake, that was that experience. Let's
yeah,
move on to the
yeah.
next one. Then,
Yeah,
you
lady
had
in the field.
the one that I'm excited to hear about, and
Yeah,
I
that
hope
was a weird
everybody
one.
else who's listening and watching, this is another great one as well. So let's go into this.
Yeah, I was probably about 16 to 17, and I picked up a bad habit. I was smoking cigarettes at that time. I quit cigarettes
It
for several
happens.
years now. But yeah, I picked up a bad habit. I was out on the porch probably I think about 2 in the morning. Kind of give a
Hmm.
backstory. I was on, how there used to be MySpace. I'd be on there
Oh,
chatting with friends and stuff like that. And I
yep.
decided, I'm going to go take a smoke break. So I went out in the back, and it was just one of those guys that stayed up late, until 2 in the morning or longer, sometimes 4. But I went back there and I was having a cigarette and I'm looking around, the stars are out, it looked beautiful, and there's a field out there, like where they would grow blackberries, or actually it was red berries. Raspberries is what they were growing out there, actually. And
All right.
I remember looking out that way and I saw a glow. I'm like, is that a light or flashlight? I just kept watching it. It just kept getting bigger, bigger when it's getting closer. So I started seeing a shape. You know how the old fashioned dress where puffs up on the back, and what would you call that? I forgot the name of that. But the back
Yeah,
gets
so it was around like the waist area around the back. It kind of
yeah,
like puffs out, kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know what that is. I
Name
know
of it.
what. Yeah, I don't know the
Somebody in
name
the
of it.
comment was saying. Like,
Yes, exactly.
but anyhow, it just got bigger and bigger as it got closer, like it was hovering, And I'm like, this is starting to look like a figure of somebody. And it just had a glow to it, and I can see the detail more. It gets close. It looked like a woman in the early, I don't know, I'd say early 1900s, maybe late 1800s. I'm
Okay.
thinking, just had that kind of fashion vibe to it too. And I just remember seeing it getting closer and closer. And I was sitting there smoking my cigarette, going, "What am I looking at here? I know I'm just only smoking a cigarette." And as it got closer, it freaked me out because it started looking, like it was coming at me. It started getting closer and
Okay. Okay.
faster and faster. I remember that it was moving up faster, and I'm like, "Whoa!" And I threw that cigarette out and I ran in the house, like a scared person. I ran there and I hid behind the corner of the house. I'm looking out the window, trying to see if I see it anywhere. I don't see it anywhere. But I do remember seeing a big flash behind me when I closed that door. So I
Okay.
don't know what happened
Okay.
after.
And you
So
said that sorry, was she glowing?
she was glowing, kind of like a let's think here, like like a how you have that like glow smoky color going on, like a fog in a way.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have a
Yeah.
shape like that kind of tone. That's what it looked like, but it was a little bit brighter to it. You could like pulsation, like a light, would be around it,
Yep.
like a ring light around it. That's what I remember.
Okay.
And
And that type of dress that you're looking for where it sticks out there, it's actually called a bustle. A
yeah,
bustle.
that's what it is. That's what it looked like because I was trying to figure out what I was seeing, and
Yeah.
it looked a lot like that. It looked like somebody from that time.
Yeah, they're saying the 18th and 19th century. So
Yeah,
that's a long time
I
ago
told
that
everybody
was.
about that around there too. And
Yeah.
this has happened in Sandy and Boring area. There's a town called Boring on the borderline of Sandy.
Boring?
Yeah. Yeah, it was right in Boring actually on the borderline of Sandy. So that's where I
Okay.
kind of grew up in Boring. Look it up.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting town. Very small.
Have you
Anyhow,
okay, so and you told everybody what was their
oh, it's
responses to that?
interesting because a buddy named Bill down the street, he lived right by the area where it happened. He said, "Oh, there's a lot of weird paranormal stuff that happened here." He said, "Did you say it was out in the field?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "The lady of the field." I go, "Who the hell's the lady of the field?" He goes, "It's some kind of spirit that shows up and disappears." And they call it the lady of the field. He said a lot of people seen it around that area, and I was like, "Whoa!" So it kind of backed me up, back that up what I saw.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so the way they described it looked like a
And
woman.
Boring is in like Oregon? Is that
Yeah,
in Oregon?
yeah, Boring, Oregon. And there's been a lot of history where the Oregon Trail and stuff like that, and around the area.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I was like interested. It was interesting because I think maybe they buried some people on the way, or there was little towns being built there. You know what I mean? Like a little home here and there. Like they would have out in the prairie. Out in the fields, like their own farms, for example. But I don't know. There's a lot of field out there hasn't been taken, and there's a lot of history back there because they said there was also a woman that was probably around I'd say 1980s or something like that fell off the back of a truck and died in that area. And they
Okay.
claim they see
Okay.
her. I haven't seen her, but I've been told people saying they've seen her going up and down the road. So,
Wow.
but yeah, whatever they
That is
call the
fascinating.
lady of the field.
Have
So
you looked into the lady of the field and Boring at all? Have you looked that
I
up
haven't
or
dig that deep into it. I
Mhm.
just remember hearing stories from people around there. I mean, I was young, and just
Yeah.
experience I had, and I never took it too serious to dig deep. I just know I saw something weird, and I was like, yeah, I saw a ghost, and I've seen it more than once, and it it stuck with me. That one probably was most realistic looking one. I couldn't make out
Okay.
the face because it was so bright, so you didn't see a face on it because it was far away. I'm pretty sure if I stayed there for a while, maybe I might have had a better look at it, but I didn't like the fact it was coming up to me so fast. So that freaked me
I
out.
see.
So
So there's someone on your channel posting a lot of stuff. It'd be interesting to get them on your show there, Blake. So whoever this is, because it's just a random name that's coming up here, feel free to
oh
reach out to Blake about missing time and
yeah,
missing time in the woods and Bigfoot, and be quite interesting to have that person on for you. Now,
yeah, yeah.
what? Okay, so let's talk about. Is that all the experiences that you've had, Blake, or is there something else?
Well, I've had, I think I talked to you a little bit about this where I was having, taking a break from the show and stuff like that, and here and there,
Yeah,
I had a little bit of a drinking problem. It's kind of more of a weekend alky. I would drink, so I'm not ashamed to talk about it. And I was dealing with depression and stuff like that.
it
I
happens.
kept
It
seeing, I
happens.
kept seeing shadow figures, man. I kept thinking it was because of me drinking, but I kept seeing these weird shadow figures popping up, and I had to keep saying,
Well,
"Go
they
away."
call alcohol spirits for a reason, right?
Yeah, yeah, I believe it because whatever I saw kept popping up in those areas where I was basically hanging out, where I saw the sighting, close to it. And
Okay.
these shadow figures would pop up all the time. I had to use, prayers. I'm going to make these go away, make these go away, and they would go away. So,
Mm.
and they kept popping up for a while. And that's when I was taking a break, and I was kind of freaked out. Like, I'm gonna take a break. I got to deal with myself, get myself better, get my family in the house, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like taking a break. But during that time, shortly after that, is when I stopped. Finally stopped drinking. Is when I had that weird dream. If you want to go into that.
Yeah,
with the,
yeah, yeah.
with the
I
UFOs. So.
definitely do. I definitely do. Now, I want you just to give me 2
Yeah, go
seconds
ahead.
here.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
have this fan running on, and I'm getting cold. I got to turn this fan off. Sorry, thanks about it's
No, I got my AC going right
starting to
now.
get a
It's
little
starting to get me.
chilly. I have the AC on and the fan going on,
Yeah.
which is strange because it's really hot here. It's about I'd say
You
it's
probably
about
can't hear
90.
mine. Can you hear mine at all or no?
Nope, nope,
Okay,
not at all.
I used the high noise cancellation on here to kind of help with
Okay.
that. It seems to work. But the problem is, you get your voice away from the mic, you won't hear me really that well. So,
Yeah, no, I could not I can't hear your fan. Yeah, it's about 90 degrees outside right now, 95, and it's a little hot, so I have the AC on and a fan on, and
well,
together it gets you a little chilly.
dude, I'm used to, I was a mountain man. I'm used to the mountain kind of cold and everything like that. Here I am in Southeast Texas. A lot of people are like, what the hell are you doing down here? Well, I wanted a different life, try a different area out. And I tell
Yep.
you what, this humidity level is really sucking, man.
The
It's hot
humidity is
human
a
stuff, man.
killer. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the humidity
So,
is a killer. I will agree with you. So, okay, Blake, so you had a dream. And for those who
weird.
know my show, they know that I have some crazy, crazy dreams as well. But
Oh man, I
I
remember it.
I
Weird. I
love to
remember a lot of
hear.
dreams.
Yeah, let's hear your dream here. This You said you had a crazy
Oh
dream.
yeah,
Let's hear it.
this happened, and this is what's weird. I was out there playing with the laser and stuff like that, like the night before, and I
Okay.
was playing around with that out there because I kept seeing these weird orb things flying around. I kept talking, going, "If you're real, come visit me." I can't remember if it was a day or two before because I was getting frustrated. I'm seeing all kinds of stuff flying around up there, and I kept going, "Come visit me. It's okay, as long as you're friendly. Come visit me." And they never did. So until I went to bed that night, I don't know because I was thinking about it or what, but the dream was really weird. I did a show on it. I'm sure you saw it on my show. When I put it on, you might not listen to it, but it was one of the last episodes I did before I took a break, really.
Okay.
Um, but excuse me, I remember that night I was up a little late and I finally went to sleep. And the dream was weird, man. I remember looking around in a white room, kind of like I don't know, maybe more like a tannish white. That kind of off color white I'm talking
Okay.
about.
Yeah, like a
Kind of off,
creamish,
not
like a
like
cream
bright white.
color kind of
Yeah,
thing, maybe.
kind of cream looking white. I
Hmm.
remember being in the room and I felt like I was being held down. I was laying down, being held down, and all I could see is straight up. So I'm seeing straight up this bright light, and I'm going, "What am I looking at in my dream?" And then I felt something grab my sides, and I'm going, "What's grabbing my sides?" Like pulling me down, and I couldn't move. I feel like I couldn't move at all in this dream. And I remember got to move my head slightly to the left, and I see these little figures next to me on both sides. And what's weird, they kind of look more. They look like little aliens, but they almost look more android looking. I was trying to describe it in that little AI picture, try to get as close as I can. But
Hmm.
what really got me is what I saw in the doorway. Because when you look at your foot, you see the doorway. I see three. I think it was three figures, if I remember right. Three figures, might have been two. I think it was three. And these look like Nordic looking things, like people, but more alien looking. Kind of Nordic looking because they had long, like white hair, and it just couldn't make out the face. They were tall. They were bigger than these things next to me. And I never thought anything about tall looking aliens or Nordic people or anything like that until I started hearing more and more about people's experience they had. And like, oh my God, that kind of looks like what I saw in my dream. But anyhow, I remember looking at the foot and it freaked me out when I saw those things there. And in my dream, I kept going, "Jesus, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus." And I woke up and I was in a sweat. And I remember going, "Jesus." When I woke up, I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, what the F just happened? And my wife kind of runs because I woke her up. She goes, "You all right?" Like, "I think I had a nightmare. I feel weird." I had to get up and stand around. I feel all like shaked up, like your gym was rushing and stuff like that. I go, "Man, why am I all awake and pumped up now?" I was all sweat, complete sweat. It wasn't even hot that night. This was like I'd say probably right before spring came around. So it was cold, probably 40s or 50s. So
Okay. So, do you think it was really a dream, Blake,
I
or
don't,
do you think you
don't know.
actually were being abducted?
I don't know. It felt real. And I looked for, how they say, look for markings on your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
I noticed I got more new moles, but I don't think that says anything. Strange ones I never seen before on my arm. This arm is weird. I have like I told my wife maybe that's always been there. I don't know. There's like a shape of a Big Dipper on my arm over here in the moles, which is weird.
That
So I
is
don't know what to make
interesting.
of that.
And the reason why I say that is interesting because I on this arm I have the shape of the constellation Cassiopeia, which
Whoa.
is it's like a triangle and then has a dot 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 like this. And I have
Yeah.
it's a perfect. That's interesting that we both have like these moles of star constellations. So yours is
Yeah.
of Ursa Major. Then if it's the Big Dipper, it's Ursa Major,
Yeah.
and then I have the Cassiopeia. Wow.
I
Okay,
thought it was
that's
just nothing, because I'm looking at my arm because I got a lot of moles on my body. But when I looked at my
yeah.
arm, I go, I know they move around here and there, but something looks weird about this one. So I started drawing circles around. I go, oh my god, it looks like the Big Dipper, So,
Wow.
but I was looking for that because I was looking for marks. I even had my wife look at me. You see anything weird? She goes, no, everything looks normal. I go, man, that must have been just a dream. I go, I don't know, but it felt real. And then the three beans there freaked me out because I remember seeing long, like whitish hair. Couldn't make out the face as well because it was like in a bright little area where they were standing there watching while these things were holding me down. Like, it looked like little androids to me, but they looked like kind of like little grays.
So grays, yeah.
But I don't know if they were grays or not, but because
Well, there's different types of grays, right? There's the tall grays, and then there's the really small, short grays.
well, these were small, and they kind of had an off color to them, like that color of the room. Almost like they can blend in with it, that off white, color. And because I know there's grays, but these didn't look gray to me. I mean,
okay,
it just looked weird to me.
Yeah.
It felt weird.
Well, there's a book called Communion, and on the cover they have what looks like a gray alien, but it is this off-white color that you're talking about, this cream.
Wow.
I remember my mom having that book. That was years ago. Like we're talking like 30 years ago.
Check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, what got me with the three tall beans there is when another guy I was looking at. I watch people's, documentaries and podcast stuff too on there, and I remember seeing. I can't remember which documentary it was, but they show these possible other life forms that we've been dealing with from other worlds or something like that. They say one caught my attention was that Nordic looking person. Although what I saw looked like it was in complete white, long like white hair and like long neck and alien looking, figure to it. Kind of thin, but human like, but really skinny, And just three of them in there. I think it was three if I remember right. But that one stuck with me, dude. I had to do a show on it a day after or two because it's so before I forget some things.
Yeah, it was so profound, hey?
Yeah. And I was like, I might forget this stuff because I feel like it was slipping away from my mind,
So do you feel that you actually were being abducted at that time and that it sure sounds like you invited them in, you invited them to, hey, come on down.
Oh yeah, I was trying out with this other person, with some gal that did a thing where she was at the ocean. She said, if you invite them in and tell them to be peaceful, not to harm you, and they'll show themselves to you. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I thought I'd try it. I go, I'm going to give this a try and believe. And because I know they're out there. I'm going to go ahead, but I want to make sure they're not a threat. And I go, I don't want to know, I don't want you taking me away from my family, is basically what I'm saying.
Yep.
But this dream, it did feel realistic, man. I feel like I was on a table. Made me feel like, how you're on a hospital bed if you've been there, for surgery or something like that, but it's flat. It felt like that kind of room, like you're being put in for surgery.
Yep.
Oh, what's this being in front of me? It was weird.
I've had a couple of dreams like that as well, where I've literally had an operation going on where they're cutting open my skull and removing 2 implants and putting in new ones.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's scary because that's, and what's weird is I've always had migraines. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like they've been more intense lately.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know what's up with that. Maybe it's my age, getting older. They're just more intense from maybe the area I'm in.
No. I think that's something to be aware of. When migraines, everybody just kind of accepts that we have headaches and migraines, and it's not normal. It's not normal that we have this.
I had migraines since I was a kid, man, and that's oh my god, it brought me back to what happened to me when I was a little kid.
Okay, here we
This is
go.
what I thought was a dream too, man. It's something to do with UFO stuff too. I think.
Mhm.
I remember being on the same area where I live, where that paranormal experience happened, but it rode over because we were happening to rent a house over there when I was a little kid. I was probably like, I don't know, I'm gonna guess 5 or 6. And I kind of remember it still. I was in a room hearing a siren type sound, like an ambulance sound. I remember looking out
Yep.
the window
Yep.
and there was a big old bright light flying around and came out the window, and that's all I remember. So
Okay. Say that again. So
yeah,
say
big
that
bright
again.
light. I looked out the window. I was a little kid because I thought I was
Yeah.
just dreaming this. And I remember talking about it to my dad and mom because I remember I ran out of there. Wait, no, I didn't run out of there. That was another time. I remember looking out the window and seeing this big bright light come out the window. And then I don't remember nothing else.
Wow.
So
A little bit of missing time then. I don't remember
felt
anything
like it.
else.
I don't remember
That's
nothing after that.
that's
I just
fascinating.
remember seeing that
Yes.
big bright light, and I almost forgot about that one. That was when I was 6, probably 5 or 6, somewhere around
I
there.
can't
And
say I've ever had a bright light missing time experience,
yeah,
and I'm glad. But when we're
but the
talking
reason I bring
about
that up because you're talking about migraines. I'm like, I'm wondering if
yes,
something connected to that.
it
Go
very
go
much
ahead.
could be, and we're talking about like abductees and implants and things like that. I just want to be clear where I stand on that. If you are being abducted or medically experimented on, if some random person off the street kidnapped you and if some random person off the street started performing surgery on you, how would we take that? We would be like, we'd want to see them justice fulfilled and them in
Mhm.
jail and everything because that's kidnapping and they're doing this medical malpractice, this medical experimentation on you. But when we start talking about aliens, people think like, and people are like, I'm special because I have this. And it's like, no, I don't like, because a lot of times the aliens, what they'll do is they'll make you feel that you are special and you're this. No, you are being abducted, you're being kidnapped, and that is Stockholm syndrome. You got to be very, very careful here. It's unless you're actually giving your consent and saying, yes, let's do this. You're going to cure me of whatever, this kidney failure or something like that, and they do that, okay. But if they're without your consent taking you out of your room and performing surgeries or putting implants on you, that's wrong. You got to be very careful with that. Yeah. And
You got a good
yeah,
point there because I believe if you use, I'm a believer in God and I believe in
yeah,
Jesus. I feel like when I used the word Jesus, something happened. It stopped. I woke up in that
mhm,
dream or whatever, something happened. And now I
yeah,
use that all the time when I feel like I don't want something, like that to happen to me again. I go, the power of Jesus Christ protect me from any harm, protect my family from any harm, keep these things away from me. And I'm aware they're there, spirits and these whatever forms are up there in the space, whatever, and
yeah.
other things going on. Any demonic stuff, stay away from my family.
Ex-
That's one thing I'm a little worried about with demonic stuff. I don't want to experience that too much, but I will, you know, investigate it a bit. But I don't want to follow me home. You know what I mean?
yep.
It's like you're
I
interested, but I
could
don't
not
want to
agree more.
coming back with me. And I think that does happen. I do believe that happens. That you could bring something back with you because it's interested in you. And it knows you're open.
N-
So
Now, what do you think aliens are? Do you think they're beings from another galaxy, another star system that we see out there? Do you think they're interdimensional? Do you think they're demonic? What is your belief on that?
well, I think I think a couple things.
Yeah.
I think they could be some demons. I think could be
Hmm.
fallen angels. I do believe God has created other things as well, so other forms of species out there. So that's possible. But then I started thinking maybe we're not floating around in these stars. So my mind starts going places. I'm like, are we like in a firmament? Like being
Yep.
contained somewhere? Because if you think about it, we're seeing these things flying around, but then you're seeing our own stuff trying to fly up there and leave. They always explode when you hear the sound of water. So it makes you
Do they
wonder:
do
is
they really leave, or are they just skimming
yeah,
along the firmament? Yeah,
we could be
because they
bigger. You know,
yeah, exactly. Because when you see a rocket take off, they always, they angle and they say that they have to because they can spin around and exit that way. But and this is another thing that I have is if they really are hitting into outer space, we are supposed to be moving at an incredible speed through through space. So when the rocket leaves, shouldn't the Earth just keep cruising on past them? Like because the whole solar system is moving. Are we like how does that work? Do we go through the Van Allen radiation belt? Do we survive when we go through the Van Allen
Yeah.
radiation belt? What is the Van Allen radiation belt? Is it some sort of a way? It's an energy portal that we access through
Possible.
into
It's
this.
possible.
I don't know.
What I think though, man, I think we're in affirmative because when you believe in God and Jesus, and you start reading these certain verses in there. They say God made, water, so there's water above and there's water below, and we shall not leave
Yep.
the basically something about not leaving the firmament. And he brings that
Yep.
up in there, and you're like, did I read that right? you know? So I mean, is there space? Possibly. I don't know. We don't know for
Well,
sure. But
yeah, and when Werner von Braun, he was the Nazi scientist that actually was one of the ones who started NASA. On his tombstone or his gravestone, it actually references a scripture from the Bible, and it's Psalms 19:1. It says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork." Okay, so this is the guy who was NASA. He was one of the main people who started NASA, and he's referencing the firmament. That's
Mhm.
very interesting. Very interesting. If you guys don't believe in it, okay, then
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
why is this on his gravestone?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It is interesting, and I still think here we are, 2026. I think we're getting closer to. This is a whole nother little topic. I'm going to clip into it.
Yeah.
Past it. I do believe we're starting to see the beginning of like the AI, like the Terminator type stuff going on. I do not believe in the data centers. I don't think this should be going on because I think they're a danger to us and what could happen for our future. But on that note, I think we should be flying around in these spaceships already. You know what I'm saying? I think it should have been already there. I think
We
we
should have
are
been
already
there. Yeah.
I think maybe they're keeping it secret from us. Maybe if space is real, I think they're already out there traveling.
Yeah.
Us humans, and we're here living in a Hollywood, movie, just living day to life, going to work and eating and hanging out with family. And family is awesome to hang out with. But if you think about it, we're all like in a system.
Yep.
They're
We
trying to
are.
keep us.
We're. If people don't realize it, we're your modern day slaves, is what we are.
We are. That's why I try to tell people nobody's free. America is not free.
Oh no.
You got to work for that freedom. We
Yeah.
got a little more freedom and stuff compared to some countries, but I think a lot of people.
But
have
I actually think that you give up certain freedoms
You do.
for other freedoms that you think you are, and actually a lot of people have given up their freedoms in lieu of false sense of securities.
Mhm.
It's like, we'll keep you safer. We're going to confine you more. You guys are going to be locked in these houses for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So
See, that's the thing is we
interesting.
got to get people waking up. Like realize you don't need those people. We can all help each other out. To be honest, we can all just
Yeah.
grow our own food, trade. They don't want us to tell people that. Waking them up. Cut the middleman out and help a neighbor. And trade.
Yep. Yep. Help your neighbor. I could
Get
not
out of
agree
that
more.
matrix. We got to get out of that matrix. So
And this is the thing. Even if we are really actually in a matrix, that means there still is a creator. So I want everybody to just consider that. It's something.
yeah,
Some people get worried, like, oh, if we're in a matrix, that means God isn't real. No, it actually points, like, it's a harder point to that this is that there is a creator. So
there is because
if you believe in a
you say
matrix, that means there is a creator.
Well, that's the thing. You got a good point because if we're in a matrix, he did warn us that the devil will take control. That's when time's coming. He'll take control, mislead people, make people believe in this false stuff, and program them to believe in stuff. That's like the Matrix. He's trying to trick us into enjoying this and that, our foods and TV shows and stuff like
Well, he
that.
tricked
So
33% of all the angels, right? The
yeah,
33% of the angels fell because they followed him because he was able to convince them. So if people believe that Satan and Lucifer, or I actually believe they're a little bit of they're not exactly the same, but when Lucifer fell, that you know that he's supposed to be this evil, scary looking demon, but just remember, he was the morning star. He was beauty. So a
well,
lot
yeah,
of times it's not going to be the scary thing that's going to be try and convince you to go the wrong way. It's going to be
yeah,
something. It always reminds me of that joke, come to the dark side. We have cookies. So
yeah.
yeah,
I believe those. To be honest, with all the nasty, ugly-looking demon things, I think those are the fallen or the Nephilims. You know,
yeah,
I think
yeah,
the ones that are lost and they could form into a demon, and all that. Because that's my theory, and I think like the devil Lucifer. I believe he was truly a beautiful angel. He was perfect, and he was all about music. He made music. And think about the
yeah,
music industry. It is weird. You look at certain people; they're changing. Their looks are changing. They don't look right.
yeah,
Something's off with that too, and it's connected with movies too. There's some
yeah.
great movies, but there's a lot of weird things going on out there. And
I agree with you.
something
I
to it.
think a lot of the movies have truth in plain sight. Like we need to be. Um, they have to show us, and it's scripted like that on purpose so that you are given awareness of what is happening. And also it's funny that uh like things being scripted, I actually believe a lot of politics are heavily scripted. I think things that we see are meant to play out the way they're supposed to. I think that there is a skeleton crew of actors who are your politicians, not all of them, some of them, and they play out a script, okay? And that script has real world implications. Like things do happen, people die, people get killed, there are tragedies along the way, but this is the script they're supposed to follow. Like when Pam Bondi was at the hearing and she looked in her the binder when they asked her about the Epstein files, and she kind of like laughs and then starts talking about the SMP, and the economy's doing so well. She laughed because she saw the line that she's supposed to read, and she thought it was an absolute joke. And I'm not, and hey, in no way am I exonerating her or anything, but I just think it's all scripted. It's just not.
I think it's
I think
been
a lot of it
scripted
is.
for many, many years. I think right after Kennedy, I think it started
Yeah,
getting more scripted, and I mean, I'm a conservative, but I believe people have every right to believe in who they choose to vote for. And I never
yeah,
voted in my life. I only started voting because I saw the ugliness and the dividing going on. I'm sorry if you're Obama supporter or anything like that, but I saw a lot of things happening during that time that made me
yeah.
upset because
Don't
I
be
seen,
sorry, man. That's
yeah,
it's your opinion.
it's just my
It is what
opinion.
it is.
People could take it the way
Yeah,
they want. I just think the dividing started happening all over again. They start the race war back up and trying to, program, manipulate people, saying, yeah, they hate you because you're that color. And they hate
yeah.
this good, blah blah blah. And it just went crazy there in
And
that time. You
and
think
in
about
reality,
it.
I actually think there's less racism in the world, but they're promoting racism and they're promoting segregation in the biggest way. So they're actually fabricating this false racism
They're trying to
war.
keep it going. They're trying to
Yeah,
keep it
but
going
I,
because
I
they
actually
think it
believe
works.
there's less. I actually think that there's way less
I do too.
racism.
I do
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
But there's a lot of people holding on to it still and saying, come on, let go, guys. It's not about that anymore. We all believe the
Hmm.
same color. It doesn't matter what color you are, it matters who
Yeah.
you are. You
Yeah,
got to
it
be a
matters the
good person.
quality of the person,
So,
the integrity of you. That's what matters to me. I don't care what color you are. If you're an asshole though, sorry, I'm not gonna like
yeah,
you. But if you're a nice person, I'm gonna like you. That's the bottom line.
we need to get back to where people disagree and agree on things and school them on stuff, and be respectful about it. I hate each
Yeah.
other. I mean, I lost a lot of friends, over debate and stuff. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me! You're gonna stop being my friend because I think differently than you? Isn't that what's
Hmm.
important? That we're all supposed to think differently and we learn from it, you know?
Yep.
So,
Yeah, exactly. Well,
so
Blake,
yeah,
I think we can wrap this up here.
yeah, it's been fun, man.
It
It's been
has
fun.
been. I want to say thank you so much for coming on. It's been great talking with you and catching up as well. So, if anybody who's listening and watching and they want to find you, where do they go look?
Yeah, you can look. You can check me out. I've been on Facebook a lot, but you can just look up, my name, Blake Botel, and find me on Facebook. You can find me there and message me, or you can hit me up on YouTube. Check me out on YouTube. Look for Mountain Man Explore the Truth. But Facebook's a great place to get a hold of me. You can even email me at mountainmanett@gmail.com. I can't even talk. Or my other email, you can hit blake.botel number 4, just the actual number 4 at gmail.com. But that's the other ways you can reach me, But the best way is just hit that messenger on Facebook. I'll get to you. If I don't get to you right away, I will. Just say you're not a spam or something like that on there. I'll find you. Because I've had some people reaching out to me and they end up in the, and on Facebook in this other room saying somebody's trying to reach you, but it was part of that, they put, questionable, and it turned out to be a real person, So yeah, great way to reach me, and be sure to subscribe to YouTube. Help me grow those numbers. I definitely need to get that up. But that was mostly just an audio guy only.
Yeah, I know. It's time, Blake. It's time to start growing that channel. And so if anybody's listening, watching, go sub to Blake's YouTube channel and check him out on Spotify as well, or Apple. And I'm sure you guys will love his content. He's got some great guests, and Blake is just a great host as well. So Blake, I want to say thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, it's been an honor, Rye. I'll be bringing you on the show when you have the time, man. I know you're a busy guy. You're doing great on your show, by the way. And I've seen him grow quite a bit from the time. So I'm like, damn, he's doing really well. I go, it's time for me to catch up to you.
Come on, let's go. Let's go. Yes. Healthy competition, and I always say rising tides raise all boats,
That's just, catch up with those damn shows. I need to get the shows up, and it's important to get people's truth out there. And you got a lot of interesting guests on your show, man. So I've been listening. I'm going, man, especially the Nephilim stuff. I got my attention. So
I love it.
Keep that going.
All right, Blake, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. That was Blake Botel. I hope you guys enjoyed his experiences, his stories, and his point of view on everything. He's very a grounded guy, and if you did enjoy his stuff, go check him out. You can go find him on Facebook. You can go find him on YouTube and Spotify, like I said, as well. So I became friends with Blake many years ago, and he is just a solid guy. One of the ones that I actually one of the few that I fully trust in this industry. He'll tell you like it is, but he's just a good guy. All right, everyone. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. And if you did enjoy the show on Spotify, rate the show. I'd love a 5-star review. It really helps to expand the reach, and it becomes more discoverable for everyone else. And if you want to support the show in any other ways, of course, I have Codega's Bodega to get your merch. And then just share the show. All right. So until next time, everyone, keep your curiosity wandering, keep the light lit, and always find your way where? Home.
Beneath the stars where shadows grow, the Nephilim's echoes whisper low. Bigfoot roams through the forest deep, and Dogman prowls where the brave won't sleep. Across lost history we wonder why, seeking the truth that time tried to hide. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit, through the darkness don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come, and always find your way back home. UFOs streak through the velvet skies, aliens watch with unblinking eyes. The paranormal hums where silence breaks, in the void of secrets a lantern wakes. Through hidden realms and stories untold, the code gas flame is a light to hold. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit, through the darkness don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come, and always find your way back home. UFOs streak through the silence breaks. In the void of secrets, a lantern wakes. Through hidden realms and stories untold, the Kodex flame is a light to hold. Keep your curiosities wandering in the light lit. Through the darkness, don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come and always find your way back home. Legends rise from the earth's deep core, a lost legacy we can't ignore. With every step, the veil grows thin, revealing worlds where the strange begins. Keep your curiosities wandering in the light lit. Through the darkness, don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come and all